That's $657.
No, I was only parked here for 2 hours, so.
Yeah, $657.
Your sign says $3 parking.
Yeah, it's $3 for each space, and technically you bought the whole lot, so that's 204 spaces times $3 plus $15 for each of the 3 handicap spaces, and those are premium.
I only wanted 1 space.
Parking doesn't work like that, sir.
Here, just take it. Okay.
Perfect.
Open up the gate.
Gate's broken.
Can you fix it?
I gotta call a guy. Don't worry, he'll be here between noon and 6 p.m.
Go, 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 go!
Welcome to Parking Killers, our mission to report the intel from the front lines of the parking revolution so that you, my friends, can park where you want, when you want, and in whatever car you want. I'm Tom Merritt.
Hey, beautiful people. I'm Brian Brushwood, and that was a Funny or Die sketch. I am shocked that the whole idea of raging at cable still has so much traction, especially in an age where everything seems to be changing. Things seem to be getting so much better for all of us.
Well, and I think that must bring it to the forefront even more, right? As people start to realize they have a choice, they start to get even more angry about how it has worked all the way until now. And granted, you can pick apart that metaphor and say, well, it's not really like parking because of this or that. But the sentiment is dead on to how people feel about it.
Oh, yeah, no. And then, of course, the idea that it's an acceptable level of service to say, I don't know, we'll be there sometime between morning and night.
Well, actually, Brian, they're getting very much better about that, and they've got more appointments. And great. As long as that makes things better for us, I'm all for it. Let's introduce our guest for this week. Mr. Derek Chen is back on the show, fresh out of the new fronts, up fronts, back fronts, all kinds of fronts over the past couple of weeks you've been doing.
Front, back, and sides. Yeah, no, it was really exciting to be part of, what we've been talking about for so many months and just being in the forefront of I think, changing trends. So the last 3 months, it's been going to all these digital new fronts and upfronts. One thing that I've really gotten out of it is that we're still not there yet, to be honest. I think compared to even last year, there's been so much more excitement for the new fronts this year. But in terms of just the production value, the number of people who go, it's just you can't compete against kind of traditional broadcast, at least even right now, when they're renting out entire theaters or Central Park just to talk about their upcoming shows. Yes, I think in our view, we feel that traditional broadcast is waning, but I think we still have a long way to go before then. I think the only new front that was even comparable was Hulu, but that's all supported by the traditional broadcast network. So it was really cool, and I think people are learning about it, so I think it will continue to see that shift. But unfortunately, I think we still have a way to go before we see that big shift that we are hoping for.
I don't know that it's surprising that there would be less money to spend and that there would be less spectacle. But what I am curious is, you can go to those big bloated mega shows and still get the sense that it's more of the same. Or you could go to an event like, BlizzCon or whatever, where everything's still white hot with electricity. And you could tell that everyone's really excited about the changing shape of this space. What's the temperature on the visceral emotional response people are having as they go to the new fronts?
Well, I think that's also interesting too, because you have to almost take a look in terms of the audience that they're talking to, because traditionally the new fronts have been more towards digital advertisers, a lot of them who understand digital video a little bit better. But now that they're trying to chomp away at those TV budgets, they're getting more and more TV advertisers to go in. But the interesting thing is then you almost have to go back from step one to introduce these TV buyers, these TV planners who don't really get how digital works, and you have to re-explain. Yes, you can track video views, and there's all these sets of data they can get, and they're trying to almost re-educate them on the pros of digital video, which again, I think if you're a digital advertiser, you get it, right away. But now that they're trying to bring in this whole new audience, they have to speak in their language. And I think you can definitely see that with at least the Hulu presentation was very clear when they were just almost talking about basic video as if, again, it's to people who really don't get it. So it was just really interesting to kind of be in that halfway point where you're just seeing all these people learn how millennials and how kids watch video differently than, how they've understood TV for decades.
I think the key metric when you're evaluating an emerging industry versus an established industry is in the catering. What was it like for snacks at a CBS upfront versus, say, a Yahoo NewFront?
So I got mini bagels and just coffee in the morning for the new fronts, but I had all you can eat sushi and like a mac and cheese bar in the middle of Central Park over Woolman Rink for one of the big broadcasts up front. So
we have it straight from the source, Tom. Old media will never die.
That is the state of things right now. We'll compare this over the years. As the catering improves, you'll know that we're getting closer to the digital revolution being realized. Let's move on to our primary target. So, Recode has it on good authority, and to be fair, Recode actually has a fairly good track record with quoting its sources, but in this case, it's industry executives familiar with Apple's plans, that Apple may not, in fact, announce their TV service at WWDC in a couple of weeks. It was rumored that they might, and that they would launch a new product in fall. If they don't, one of the reasons could be because Apple appears to be holding out for deals to provide local television stations in the United States on their streaming service. That's something that even the networks themselves can't get entirely. We talked last week about how CBS is getting to like 64% of their locals. ABC doesn't have all their locals in the app that you have to use your cable company's authorization to access. Question is this a killer enough feature for Apple to keep delaying in order to provide local television streams?
I don't know that it makes sense for Apple to do, but I do know that it's a step in the right direction, or hopefully an indicator of something that we've wanted for a while. One of the things that happened, and I think we're all on the same page that we don't think it's going to happen again, but piracy was so rampant among music that Apple was able to come in and make ridiculous demands of saying $10 an album, 99 cents a tracks, them's the rules, get on board, and everybody got on board. We're not going to see that again. However, we are in a much more chaotic landscape right now with the success of Sling TV, with everybody trying to go independent, with CBS launching their independent stuff. It's clear that we are seeing a sea change. We are I don't want to say past the crest, but I mean, this is the kind of thing that could be a tipping point when all of a sudden Apple and his 30 million subscribers that they can promise to bring or whatever can come in and say, everybody get on board. And maybe enough people will do it if we could resolve all this. Like, I'm certain that Apple's goal is to have a device in the living room or have a service, whether it's in the living room, on your iPhone, whether, even on your watch, maybe down the road. And you could watch pretty much all the same stuff that you would watch on television anyway, just inside the Apple ecosystem. And I would say it's a smart play on Apple to make sure that that's what they deliver. And if that means pushing back on this and until they hammer out agreements, they've got a dominant position. They have a big audience. It's a chaotic marketplace, and they need a grown-up to come in and push everyone in line for us to have a viable chance to get what we want here.
Yeah, on the one hand, I get that that's the Apple way, right? Make it as easy and massively acceptable as possible. So in that case, somebody from St. Louis who wants to watch the Channel 5 news at 5 o'clock wants to be able to do that if they buy this Apple TV service. And if they can't, it's going to feel weird and they're not going to like it. So for mass appeal, I get it. For Apple saying we're not going to launch a product until it meets all of our expectations, I get it. But from the outside looking in, Derek, you must have a good insight on this just from the advertising side. Deals between even the networks and their own affiliates are incredibly complex. It took Hulu a couple of years to work out deals to show broadcast national programming streaming on Hulu and not piss off all the affiliates. What does this look like to you from your perspective, Derek?
I mean, I think definitely to that point. I mean, the whole, when you're talking about TV, there's so many hands in the jar. I guess there's too many people invest into it, and everyone has their own opinion. How ABC feels could be completely different than Fox or CBS, and then as you get even more local, there's just too many. There's a lot going on, and yeah, I do think that in terms of the back end relationships, the back end deals, guaranteeing that this is still profitable to the networks and to their shareholders, I think that's going to be difficult for anyone to try to translate and make easy for everyone to feel comfortable to relinquish or at least even give away part of that control to a company even like Apple. And I think seeing what we've seen with the music industry and some of these other industries, I think there is that fear, right, to conceding that into Apple. So I think no matter what, it's going to be a long, drawn-out process. But I think for you and me and Scott and everyone who watches Cordkillers, I think it's something we notice a lot more. But at the end of the day, whether this product comes out this year or next year, if it's so easy to use, I don't think the general consumer is going to care that they had to wait 3 years or 4 years for this. I think if it's easy at the end of the day, if they can get what they want to watch when they want to watch it, they'll buy it.
Well, and that's the weird thing, because we've talked about on the show that, this is not a hardware issue. This is not a intent issue. It's not even a desire for the licensing issue. It's just an existing legal agreement issue. It's so sticky. And I'm going to say that if Apple wants to preserve its reputation as coming in with fully formed products that do exactly what they say they're going to do completely from end to end and expand, out from one, get one thing right and expand out from there, then I think it makes sense that it's got to have local. If you're going to sell it to my parents, it's got to have local television and the Weather Channel. They better have the Weather Channel available very easy on it.
Yeah, and the Weather Channel, just to combine those two, the Weather Channel with the local weather insert.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. And right now downstairs, I mean, I went back on the cable for a little bit, and I'm trying to extract myself from it. But I ain't gonna lie, right now there's genuine flooding, and Lamar Street is underwater, and we have house guests because Brant's apartment got flooded. Local news talking about the weather has been on 24 hours a day downstairs. And so it's like they've got to offer that ability if this is going to have mainstream appeal, if it's going to be, because Sling has been probably the best offering we've seen in this space so far. But those little bits of incompleteness, people notice that we're now in the uncanny valley. It needs to be so right that it's hard to even notice the flaws. Not so close to right that all you can see is the flaws.
Just to throw out a curveball, and this is probably very, very wrong, but I can't help but think about advertising again for Apple, just because they did a huge foray into advertising with iAds, which never, at least as far as I'm concerned, never panned out. But I can't help but wonder.
No, wait a minute. I thought iAds was a giant raging success. I thought they served like all the ads on the planet, according to WWDC.
According to Apple fans, yes, but for the rest of the world, no. But I can't help but wonder, just being how big video is. I mean, in the advertising world, digital, traditional TV, that's still a huge part of where budgets go. So I can't help but wonder, are there even secret plans, or just even that hint of how can Apple inject itself back into the advertising space through a video service? Probably really wrong, but the advertiser.
No, that's a good question though, because Apple's model to me has always been you pay a price and then you get an exquisite experience. I don't perceive ads being part of an exquisite experience for the most part, but I mean, are they about to Hulu Plus themselves, Tom? Do you think?
That's an interesting question, because Hulu Plus is on an Apple TV. So they already have that exact experience. You buy an Apple TV, you pay for Hulu Plus, you watch it on an Apple TV, you get ads. But is there a difference if Apple says, we're now selling you the Apple television service? Do we react, oh, well, this channel always did have ads and now I'm watching it live and it's got ads? Or do we react, wait a minute, this is supposed to be Apple. It's supposed to be better than that.
I mean, I guess that's part of the problem, too, is what we love about our DVRs is the ability to skip past ads. And I would expect for recorded programming or on-demand programming, I would expect a truly Apple quality service to do some kind of editing to the ad experience.
Oh, sure. You just pay $1.99 to upgrade
to buy it
version
and have it in your library forever. I don't know. It
is scary, though, if you just think about how much every company nowadays, when you look at advertising, it's all about data. It's all about following the user across devices and platforms. And Apple's really primed to do that, too. I mean, if you're a true Apple user, they can follow you from your phone to your tablet to your computer to your living room. And if they then get a good sense of what you're watching on TV, what you're listening to in music, I mean, they can promise an advertiser pretty much the exact ad to the right audience anytime, anywhere.
And by the way, I would not have placed a lot of stock in that ability to jump from device to device until I started using it without even realizing it on Netflix. Started watching Daredevil on one platform, open up my phone, and all of a sudden I'm at the exact same scene. And it was so seamless and so easy. All of a sudden, I went from zero interest to all of a sudden passionately, like that's a requirement moving forward.
And don't forget, live local news often streamed already, definitely on websites, often on Roku channels. If you look around, you can find your local news stream there. And so the fact that you bring up the customer data is a good point, because that is what this fight is really about. If there's someone out there going like, hey, I can already stream my local news on Roku, so what's the big deal? Why is it going to be so hard for Apple to get this deal? It's not because they can or can't stream. It's about who controls the relationship with the customer, who gets to track that customer, who gets to target that customer with ads. So all that stuff that Derek's bringing up, that's where the challenge is in creating those deals with Apple.
Man, that sounds to me like one heck of a pickle for one Tim Cook. But I'll tell you who doesn't have a pickle is us. No pickles here, because we've got...
We can afford pickles, though. We want them. We could just run down and buy them, because you guys support the show, making it possible to keep us in pickles should we want them.
2,101 patrons keeping us loud, live, and independent. You guys changed our lives a little over a year ago, and we want to continue to provide you guys with quality programming. As a matter of fact, we talked about, Tom, we're going to stick around after we do Spoiler in Time, which, again, you get early access to if you're a patron. We're going to stick around, and for patrons only, going to do a live State of the Cordkillers address again, which will go out to all of our fine patrons at patreon.com/Cordkillers.
Thanks to every single one of you for finding value in the show and giving a little value back. And now Signals Intelligence, pronounced correctly.
I like value back.
Value back.
That's my band. We're value back.
Signals Intelligence is the segment where we talk about something going on in the streaming side of things. And there's an interesting write-up at Cordkillers News on hotel streaming at Marriott's. Now, they only tried it at the JW Marriott, the super fancy ones, but apparently Marriott wrote them after they posted this and said, no, we've got it at 10,000 hotel rooms across all different types of properties, from the budget motels on up. And what we're talking about is the ability to get Netflix, Hulu Plus, Crackle, and YouTube built into the television on your hotel television. So just like you used to do with pay-per-view movies on demand, you can now do with Netflix, Hulu Plus, Crackle, and YouTube. Most recent app versions, according to Cordkillers News, they streamed well. They say they will clear your login credentials once you're done, so you don't have to worry about, is somebody going to get my login or share my login or watch things on me. At least they promise that. And you can control things from a remote, which can be painful for the login, I guess. But then after that, you don't have to be picking up a keyboard or anything like that. This sounds like a dream, Brian.
Yeah, and here's the weird part: is first and foremost, it's a dream for the hotels, because those guys shell out monster licensing fees in order to get this pay-per-view and pay these guys and these adult movies on whatever and these outdated old systems. All they're really doing here is providing essentially internet access on the television using your login. So in other words, like, you as the customer are subsidizing the experience on behalf of the hotel. So it's a win for the hotel. It's a double win for the consumer, because if they put this on there is a certain implicit guarantee of bandwidth service that comes with this. Yeah, as a frequent traveler, I know that you're like me. I care about one thing. How many megabits? And it's like I call and I'm like, how fast is the internet? And they're like, it's wireless. And I was like, no. How many megabits is it? And they're like, I don't know how that works. And I'll walk them through opening up speedtest.net. And they're like, what is the number putting out there? I'm like, well, it's still loading. And then I'll click, hang up on them. If they install this, there's an implied ability that we have good enough bandwidth that you will be able to stream all of these video services. And keep in mind also that, as you look at this screenshot here, they've got 6 little options filled in. But who's to say that down the road, let's say Vimeo Originals becomes the hot new sauce, and all of a sudden everyone wants Vimeo to use their Vimeo account, they can modify this after the fact down the road. I think this is a great win for everyone. This is in so many ways my dream come true. I will, for the first time ever, turn the television back on at the hotels.
Now, somebody needs to do a security audit before you do that, because the way it's supposed to work is you're not giving the hotel your login credential. You're typing it into an app from Netflix, and that app should be securely, HTTPS, sending that login to Netflix only, and the hotel should never see it. We don't know that that's the case. We hope that that's the case, and I'm waiting for somebody to have looked into it that I trust to say, yes, no, definitely this is secure.
I mean, but
before
also,
I go and do that.
but,
That's just being wise.
Sure,
but let's assume that all pans out, because I do think that it's likely that is the case. Derek, is this something you're excited about when you travel?
Yeah, I mean, I'm constantly in hotels. I was in a Marriott last week, but I can't help but wonder, because when the Marriott that I went to, they had the free wireless service, and then you had the super fast one that you had to pay like $8.99 or whatever a day for. I'm just wondering, will I have to actually upgrade my Wi-Fi package in my room so I can get a pretty good stream without buffering or delays?
This is all just on your television.
Yeah, so if it's built into the back end, it probably resides on the same superfast network that you normally pay a premium to access, but it's available without paying, would be the pitch, I guess.
That sounds amazing then.
Yeah. Well, exactly, because a lot of times I try to use Netflix and it doesn't work very well. And I've had to pay for the $8.99 whatever access, right? And I'm frustrated. So if this is working as well as Cordkillers News says it is, that's a huge thing.
Real quick, sorry, but
No,
before we move past, you seem deeply concerned with the security of your Netflix passwords. I mean, I don't know that I am. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. There are people.
All I'm saying, before you argue this point too much, is before you give anyone passwords to anything, it is just wise to know that this isn't a phishing scheme to get your Netflix passwords. And if you say, well, I don't care if somebody has my Netflix password, people can get a Netflix password, could then call Netflix, and then they could figure out some other information about you. You want to protect that stuff. It's just, I'm not saying
no, that's true. That's true. It's just good
I'm just
hygiene.
saying that, you know what, before you give anybody any kind of login information on you, make sure that somebody has looked at this and said, yeah, this is secure.
I am curious.
Right.
And
I am curious
also,
on
you
the
may
business
not care, but there
standpoint.
may be a lot of other people out in the audience that care too.
Sorry, what was that, Derek?
I'm curious on the business standpoint. You were mentioning too. I mean, we know that hotels make a lot of money from adult programming as well. So it'd be curious to see how they would go about doing that as well. I think just because that is just a part of
I
their
assume that's still there.
At least in the past.
Yeah, I assume that they haven't removed that product. you could still sign up for that.
It's really more of a service than a product, if you think about it. I mean,
what I do think is really interesting is hotels have never had a DVR. That's something I've always been like, I'm not going to turn on the TV because I'm going to be halfway through a program and I don't like that, and they haven't recorded the things I want. Could streaming services replace traditional TV in a hotel because it's actually on demand, which is better suited to you in a situation where you're like, I want to sit back and watch something I want to watch now.
And that's a really good point, Tom, because if by definition, if you're in a hotel, then you are in the middle of some kind of pattern interruption. You're not at home. You're in the middle of some experience that has you in a place where you're not normally where you normally are at your favorite times. And in the case where, I would imagine, Hulu, the Hulu Plus thing, and I guess this pretty well covers it. I can't think of too much programming that you wouldn't be able to access with these big four. I mean, except for all the premium stuff, but then, most likely you have a device.
Have Amazon. They don't have Amazon.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yet. Little asterisk yet.
I guess there are people who like to lean back and just watch dumb programming still.
And guess what? They
on
still
vacation
can.
in a hotel.
Fox News still works totally fine.
Yeah.
And so does MSNBC.
Well, then let's just gear up, shall we?
If you insist, sir. I'm feeling rather gearish.
I do.
Gearish Hellscream, that's my name.
Gary, you have +8 charge. You're at 8 mana is what you are. Xbox One tuner has launched from the place that I always mispronounce. Hopog.
Hopog.
Hop on Pop.
Hopog.
TV tuner for Xbox One went on sale from Microsoft in the US and Canada, along with, and this is the more important part of it, wide support for over-the-air in Xbox One. So you could already buy the tuner, but it wouldn't work with the Xbox One. Now it will. They're even bundling it in with a Mohu Leaf 50 antenna for $100. It works with the Snap feature. It works with One Guide. It works with voice control. It can stream your live television over to the Xbox Smart Glass app on Windows Phone, iOS, and Android. And it can pause up to 30 minutes and rewind and fast forward within that 30-minute window.
Holy crap, it's got DVR functionality? We get DVR
Not
functionality?
DVR functionality past the pausing live television. So it depends on how you define. If you're defining DVR functionality as pausing, yes, Brian Brushwood, it does.
But that's not, I mean, if you could pause and it can cache and save, why couldn't it?
You
it
can't
just seems,
save any programs.
You
can't schedule recordings. Can't do any of that stuff.
So, okay. So as far as like what we get that's new, really, instead of having to go buy some other over-the-air device to plug in, because from day one,
instead of having to buy a Channel Master or a TiVo over-the-air Romeo, you can now plug this tuner in,
which would have DVR capabilities. Like if we got a TiVo Romeo, you would have,
or a Channel Master, which
right.
also have.
So
TV.
really, the only big thumbs up we can give is that it costs $60 or so.
Yeah, right. This is for somebody who doesn't care about storing live television. They just want to be able to watch it. And they want to be able to watch it on their Xbox One.
So I'm actually very curious in this. I already use the Xbox One to stream Time Warner Cable, just the app. And the app itself on the Xbox One, as far as I've used it, I can't use DVR either. The DVR only works in the box in my room, but in the living room, it's pretty much just watching live TV on its own. But should I ever cut the cord officially and move out of Time Warner Cable, I mean, this would definitely be something I'm already used to doing on my Xbox One. So I'm actually really curious about this and would love to probably play around with it.
You know what? I don't deny that there is someone out there who's pumping a fist up into the air and slamming some beers with excitement about this. I think there's exactly one person doing that. And if you are that person, please write us at cordkillers@gmail.com.
You know what, Brian? I'm going to have to disagree with you there. I think there's two, one in Canada, one in the United States.
That's a good point.
Now, I do think there's more than that, but you're right. The number of people this appeals to goes way down when you don't have the ability to store shows. So this is great for live events, really. Like, I want to watch the Oscars live. I want to watch football live. Any sports event that's over the air. It's good for that. That's kind of it.
Yeah, and although, but keep in mind, it's not outrageous in a world where we are watching NBC specifically program live events, even, let's say less than stellar live plays and musicals just to make them live so that they could tap into the, the live Twitter gestalt, that of the internet. In a world where we're going to get more of those events, this could be the kind of thing, if only for the Super Bowl. Picture this, right? It's like, you're like, the Super Bowl. I guess I could do this in streams, but then I won't see the same ads or whatever. Oh, whatever. Just give me $60, plug it in, and it works. And then in that case, maybe that's a great solution.
All right, let's take a quick break. And I want to let people know about a little project that Justin Robert Young and I are doing called FSL Tonight. I'm going to try to explain it. If you don't understand, just keep moving. It's fine. You won't understand.
It's not for you if you don't understand.
Science fiction and fantasy sports is the way I've recently been phrasing it. It's a 10-week season that we describe of teams playing an unidentified sport, and the teams are based on science fiction and fantasy franchises. So the New York Avengers are in there. The Mordor Crows have competed in past seasons. You get the picture there. If that sounds amazing to you, to have two guys pretending like they're doing sports talk radio, but actually making references to your favorite science fiction and fantasy franchises, then check out FSLTonight.com. And we just launched a Patreon for it if you want to support that. And there's some perks to supporting that as well at patreon.com/FSL Tonight. That's with an F, as in Frank.
Yeah, and as somebody who has been privileged enough to try to joust with you guys on an FSL here or there, the real joy is watching the mental chess match as everyone tries to figure out the cleverer reference or meta story that ties into a Dune reference or a My Little Pony reference. It's really a delight, especially if you're familiar with the properties. There, you guys are super clever and a lot of fun, and I've never been more excited about sports talk radio than until I discovered FSL Tonight.
So check it out, FSLTonight.com. Let's move on to the front lines.
Front lines.
YouTube, which my wife works for, has added 60 frames per second support to their live streams now. YouTube partnered with Elgato and XSplit to integrate the options. You can view streams at that frame rate in HTML5 compatible browsers. Those same HTML5 browsers can rewind live streams and play them back at 2 times to catch up. So everybody makes money on Twitch can move over to YouTube now?
Yeah, and guess what? Last time I checked, YouTube doesn't shut down your channel because you had the audacity to not talk about video games for 20 seconds.
But they do have the audacity to shut down your channel because you showed some video game footage from Nintendo.
Okay, well, actually, no. They don't even shut down your channel. They just directly cut a check.
Yeah, they seize your video.
Seize your money like it's filthy drug money. Your filthy Mario Coke money gets taken away and sent directly to Japan. Extension on this. So when I first heard this this headline, I was like, 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second, what's the difference? But then when you think about it in terms of video games, that is huge, and it did make a big splash when YouTube got the ability to display 60 frames per second, because that's the way most of us experience our video games. But the ability to do it live and for it to automatically reduce it to 30 frames per second for consumers who can't quite handle 60 frames per second. It's huge, man. Your friend of mine, OMG Chad, is trying to make a career out of playing video games on YouTube, and this is a valuable tool. Derek, do you ever play in this space? Do you ever live stream or watch live streams?
Well, I don't do live streams, but I do video game advertising. So gaming is definitely the one of the big kind of industries that's really pushing, live streaming and video. So expect a lot more, and that's probably as much as I'm allowed to say.
Okay, yeah. So it sounds like this is an indication of maturity in this platform and direction, right?
It's also definitely an indication, and I don't know anything when I say this, that YouTube really, really, really wants to get a bunch of gamers back away from Twitch.
Yeah, well, why don't you cool it on the takedowns there? DirecTV has an app for kids called DirecTV Kids for iOS, targeted at 5 to 10-year-olds. You can watch up to 3 devices at a time per account. The question is the better curation worth the about $90 a month for DirecTV? And I'm glad you phrased that question that way, Tom, because I'm sort of the victim of this. Nobody in the family is watching live TV at all in the living room, but I'm hesitant to cancel my AT&T Uverse because the kids watch so much Disney on their Disney devices, and they're all authenticated, and it's just, there's a benefit to that. What about you guys?
I want to say no, it's not worth it. I am a DirecTV account holder still. For vestigial purposes and for purposes of comparison, I watch almost nothing on it anymore. And yet, seeing all the complaints from parents about, well, I gave them the YouTube thing and I ran into some weird stuff and it doesn't have all the things they want, something like this maybe is worth $90 a month.
Derek, you have no children. Go ahead, Tom.
Nope.
Sling, go ahead, Derek. Were you going to say something?
I just, could someone please think of the children?
Sling TV has added Android TV, including the Nexus player, to its lineup of supported devices. And like Roku and Amazon before it, it's offering a 50% discount off the Nexus player if you buy 3 months of Sling TV service in advance. They also added ESPN or ESPN Deportes to the Deportes pack of Sportsies.
Man, this is one of those moments where I wish I had all the gizmos on the planet because I don't really have anything to comment on this. What devices do you roll, Derek?
I pretty much still use the Time Warner app on my phone just because I still have a cable subscription, so I just use it all across my iOS and Android devices, and the Chromecast is pretty much it. And then, the consoles too.
Okay, so consoles, Chromecast, your mobile devices. So you haven't played with the Android TV or Roku or any of those standalone streaming boxes?
I mean, honestly, all there is to this story is, hey, folks who have a Nexus player or Android TV device, you can now add Sling TV to it.
Yeah, but look at that. We just filled up a whole minute of just asking Derek what he's got. Hey, man, the 4K HDR movie download service from Fox, Warner Brothers, Western Digital, and SanDisk has been named Vidity, Imgo, Vudu, Kaleidoscope, LG, Universal, Comcast, and Sprint, those are a lot of names, are all on board. Expect products to roll out later this year. The big deal is so that it's basically an alternative to Ultraviolet for 4K content, and its big gimmick is that unlike Ultraviolet, you have to radio back to HQ for permission to play every time. You can copy from one device to the other as long as it's like from Western Digital to SanDisk or SanDisk to SanDisk or Western Digital. Make me think there's
let
any
me try to rephrase this.
Yes.
Because you got it right. It's like Ultraviolet for 4K video, but the bonus is you can move things from one hard drive to another without having to re-authenticate online, as long as one of those hard drives is Western Digital or SanDisk.
Now why? Make me believe that in some world this is what do they think?
Vidity is great, Brian, and let me tell you why.
Okay, thank you.
Vidity allows you to take ultra HD videos, the highest quality videos, movies that we can provide. And you don't have to have an internet connection if you want to move it from your downstairs media center up to that hard drive connected to the living room player. But you just move it. You just move it as long as you have a Western Digital or SanDisk hard drive.
But internet's more pervasive than ever, and pretty soon we'll have virtually 100% penetration.
Sure, but it's not 100% pervasive, is it, Brian? And how frustrating is it with that Ultraviolet file when you move it and you have to be like, wait, this computer isn't on the internet. Hold on, let me re-log in. Let me plug in the Ethernet device just to watch a movie. You don't have to do that with Vidity. You just move it from your SanDisk or Western Digital hard drive to another hard drive that's either SanDisk or Western.
But understand that you are creating an entire service to cater what very likely is 0.0001% of your entire market. You created an entire service. You didn't just create one workaround. You created an entire platform.
Listen,
based
Brian,
on...
you don't like ease of use. That's your problem. You want to be prejudiced against people who like high quality video on their Western Digital or SanDisk drives. That's
and also
fine.
Don't have the internet.
We're here to help those people at Vidity.
Okay, good luck, gentlemen. Shall we see what's under surveillance?
Wait, hold on. I want to see what Derek thinks of this now that we've roundly
blown it up.
Described it.
I'm just curious to what the name's going to be when they have their 8K TV service. So.
Well, by the way, this is one thing that, I have a buddy of mine who works at a company out in Hollywood, and he's fairly high up, and he's seen some demos, and I will not name him, but it sounds to me from his, inside, kind of, he's my own Derek Chen. He's that I call, although technically Derek Chen is my Derek Chen. But
I don't care if you called this other guy Derek Chen.
He's my other Derek Chen. My other Derek Chen says that among industry executives, it's very difficult to sell 4K because with your eyes squinted and from 8 feet away, you can't really tell the difference for most people between 4K and 2K. But the HDR, the fact that the HDR aspect is tied in there, the people feel like they can sell once those monitors come to pass and people see them or whatever. So I think this might be a bit of future proofing. If I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, it's that they think HDR will do very well, and they want to diversify and find a way to deliver that HDR content down the road.
And I'll give Brian credit for going soft on me, because all he had to do was say, but I have a Toshiba hard drive, and you would have undercut the entire Vidity presentation.
Yeah.
Right there.
Well, there's that. Well, luckily we've got Western Digitals in the back.
Let's see what's under surveillance.
Not like real estate. It's all about location.
Under surveillance.
I was first reminded about this on the second to last David Letterman show. Bill Murray's A Very Murray Christmas coming to Netflix in December, and they just put out a quick teaser video for it.
It's a very Lost in Translation-esque
guess who's producing it? Sofia Coppola.
Oh, really? Oh, fantastic. Yeah, no, it definitely looks, it's a lonely, older Bill Murray, like a sad version of his character in Scrooged, I would imagine. What was awesome was I called Bonnie into the room, and Bonnie's one of the biggest Bill Murray fans on the planet. So I was like, hey, so did you see this new Christmas thing that Netflix is doing? And played it. And that moment he turns around and gives his doughy-eyed look, Bonnie squeed, and she was very, very excited for it.
Specials will star George Clooney, Paul Schaefer, Amy Poehler, Michael Cera, Chris Rock, Maya Rudolph, Miley Cyrus, and more.
Dude, I think Miley Cyrus could be, she's wicked smart and sharp, and she could make that transition into being like super funny for the next 10 years.
She comes in like a wrecking ball.
All right.
Also, to cheer you up, season 2 of BoJack Horseman comes to Netflix July 17th.
Yes. Dude, unbelievably excited for this. I tried to explain to Bonnie, because I watched BoJack Horseman when I was out on shooting Hacking the System in L.A., and I tried to explain why it's good. And I'm like, well, it's funny, but it's not that funny because some of the jokes fall flat, but it's important because those set up character arcs and the characters actually change and grow, which is kind of indicated by the fact that we see a majestic, golden-abbed, angelic BoJack Horseman walking on a water covered with trash. I mean, it's... I'm very excited. What about you?
I am excited. I am a BoJack Horseman fan. What about you, Derek?
I've tried watching a few episodes, but I've never really got into it. I probably have to just kind of press on through the entire season, huh?
By the way, I don't blame you for that, to be honest, because I spent a lot of time wishing to like it, and then suddenly I liked it. So if you wish hard enough, your dreams come true.
Yeah. Like the people who were hoping for Seinfeld to come to Hulu. June 24th, your dreams are coming true. Seinfeld will appear on Hulu. Yay.
Is that all of them, or is that for Plus only?
Yeah, it's that's the big deal. It's because certain episodes, selected episodes, were showing up on Crackle from time to time, and then they would go away and be replaced by others. This is the entire run, whole thing.
Right on.
Yeah, I'm still shocked that they made such a big deal out of the Seinfeld thing, at least during the Hulu Newfront. I think I actually wrote it in an email about it, but it's just when they're talking about millennials the entire time and talking about how big that is. I mean, it's great that Seinfeld's there, but it's no. I don't know. I felt the same way about hearing Friends on Netflix. It's a nice to have, but it's not gonna get me to sign up for a service one way or another. It's not the.
I'm excited that I Love Lucy is coming to Amazon, but
yeah, right. I don't know.
So, Derek, we'll give you first crack at what you've been watching lately, because you've always got interesting things that I hadn't even thought about, sometimes things that I'm glad I heard about from you.
Well, I mean, sci-fi programming's kind of my cup of tea, so Stealing the Flash from you, Tom, been watching that, Orphan Black. One really cool thing that I was able to do, because obviously it's NHL playoffs right now, and I've been going to a lot of bars in San Francisco and New York to watch the game, but it wasn't until I was at a client dinner where the client whips up the phones and said that actually the games are all free, live streaming on your phone. And so in the middle of dinner, all the guys pull out their phones and start watching one of the games during dinner. But for me, it didn't even occur to me, just because I was so used to watching it in bars and on TV, it blew my mind that it was available on a digital mobile platform. So that, and then I also saw Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, good. As a matter of fact, Tom watched Mad Max, so we'll be definitely talking about that in spoiler in time. What else have you been watching, Tom?
But Flash as well, which quickly became my favorite show of the spring season. It was good in the fall, but it was young and building, and they really brought, for a first season, they brought it home really strong. I've enjoyed the season finale of Arrow as well. Sets up a great story arc for the next coming season. I'm caught up now on Silicon Valley. Wait, am I? Did I watch? Yes, I did. I watched last night's episode. I almost forgot because I watched the previous week's episode on Saturday. Mad Max Fury Road, of course, and Bob's Burgers. I've been keeping up with Bob's Burgers as the new episodes come out.
I am catching up with Bob's Burgers, which I'm enjoying very, very much. And I like it because Bonnie normally can't handle most animated shows because all of the voices are so over the top and cartoonish. But she seems to love the character Linda, who has arguably the most annoying voice. And so as long as that happens, then
all right.
She's what was it? You're like, why is your eye twitching, Linda? Because I'm so happy for her. At any rate, we were watching The Prophet. We watched episodes 1 and 2 of the new season, thanks to Bryce Castillo. And I watched the same episode of The Shield that you watched, because it's the first time that we've done this. I've gone back and we are now synchronized and can speak in real time on it. And to be honest, I enjoyed the experience so much, I might just go week to week. Although, let me ask you, you said you watch it on Hulu, right?
Yes.
It was only available on Hulu Plus when I looked, so I ended up paying. I bought it for $2.
Yeah, I watch it on Hulu Plus.
I thought you weren't a Hulu Plus guy.
No. Have you been on the show? Remember, I made the revelation that I paid for Hulu Plus because of Saturday Night Live.
Oh, that's
right. And then, like, a couple of times I've checked in and said, no, I'm continued to use it because it's been helpful. I feel like it's so much better than a DVR.
You know what it is in my mental Rolodex. Like there was a good 2 years of nothing but you griping about.
Oh yeah, no, and for 2 years, and I will back those up. For 2 years, it was worthless to me.
Yes,
like I was like, I paid for it 2 years ago and kept the subscription on hold for 2 years.
Yeah,
because I'm like, there's no reason for me to pay for this ever. And then I finally got to a point where I'm like, yes, that is worth me paying $8.
So you have to watch ads on the Shield. I think I might just rebuy all the Shield instead. I think because I really dug not having ad breaks.
I was worried when it flipped from Amazon to Hulu that the ads would really bug me, but they don't. I barely remember they were even in there.
Well, but also if you read Difficult Men is the story of a bunch of the folks who transformed television in the early 21st century. Sean Ryan unabashedly said he loves writing for ad breaks. He loves the 3-act structure. He loves ending on a cliffhanger and all that stuff. So it might make sense that having a breath would make sense in that.
Shall we take some dispatches then?
Only if they're from the front.
Well, they are, so that's good.
Well, right on. Let's do dispatches from the front.
Dave Trawick sent us a message and said, my only qualm about cutting my satellite service is losing Turner Classic Movies, by far my favorite channel. But it's cable subscription only. Once I cut the cord, I don't want to hook up with any more bundles, contracts, or packages. I'm anticipating saving about $1,300 a year when I make the jump to watching what I want when I want, or whatever device I want. I have some advice for you, Dave. Spend that $1,300 buying classic movies, dude. They're cheap.
Yes,
probably
that's
1,300 of them.
I mean, when you save $1,300, there's a lot of stuff you can buy, and it doesn't even have to be in physical media. You can go on Amazon Prime and just buy a bunch of this stuff. Amazon Instant Video.
There's also is it a Warner Brothers Studios service that gives you all you can eat access to admittedly a portion, but a very large portion of their library of movies that are classic. I think maybe what Dave likes, though, is that curation aspect of it, right? So he doesn't have to pick the movies that he wouldn't have thought of, or maybe.
But I guarantee you, yes, I understand that you value the fact that TCM in general has a certain standard of quality. I guarantee you, there's a website that somebody says, here are the 100 best classic movies that you must watch, and you can go through. You could buy literally all of them. All 100 of them you can buy and experience this year for the same cost you're paying now.
Or he could just look at the Turner Classic Movie schedule and just buy them.
Hey, there you go.
As they come out. But I think that's the point, though. I think the point he's making is I don't want to have to do that work. I like that I can just turn on and watch movies. I don't have to think. I don't have to have curated anything. I don't have to have looked at anything. I just turn it on and I'm entertained. And I respect that.
Fair enough. Mark writes us saying, hey, Brian and Tom, I've been listening to Cordkillers for a few months, enjoying the news, your discussions, and the spoilers too. I've been a Dish customer for a long time. I'm not unhappy with the service, but I find myself watching less live television and more streaming video with, of course, the big players in there these days. Do I really need to be paying as much as I do for satellite service? Today I called Dish and said the C word. Cancel.
Cord killer.
Cancel.
Cord cutting?
Cancel.
Cancel.
He threatened to cancel. He said the C word. Cancel. Willing to let go of 100 plus channels and a DVR, but wondering what they would say. The service rep complimented my payment record. 14 years of never missing a payment. I use auto payment, so I guess that was nice of him to say. Then he offered me a 50% discount for 5 months if I would just cool my canceled jets. When I groused that I'd be back to paying what I am now in a few months, he countered with the opinion that, maintaining a good payment record would probably mean you could get another great deal at the end of your 5-month waiting period. I'm just saying is all. Baby steps. I decided to take the 50% off deal this time around. I wonder if it's really possible to hang on to this more reasonable monthly service fee by calling in 5 months and firing up the canceled jets again. I guess I'll find out soon enough. By the way, it sounds like Mark's one of our newer listeners. Yeah, dude, we call it the Cable Chicken Challenge. Everybody needs to take the Cable Chicken Challenge. Call up and just say the C word over and over and over again and see if they offer you something for it.
Say, I can't continue to pay.
Make sure the C word is canceled, though.
Yeah. Michael Jason Issel from Sacramento, California is living in your future, Mark. He's been a cord cutter for about 5 years and uses a TiVo to get over-the-air network TV. He says, I also have an Apple TV and a Slingbox. You guys always talk about Hulu and Netflix. I wanted to give a little love to Acorn TV. It's a $4.99 a month service, has a lot of great PBS mystery shows on it, and also has all kinds of shows made in Australia, New Zealand, England, and Ireland. I've enjoyed discovering new shows from different parts of the world. One of the best parts about this app is there are no commercials. I just wanted to give the viewers of Cordkillers another great alternative. That is something I'm really glad you wrote in about, Michael. I was not aware of Acorn TV, and it looks like the kind of niche cable channel that would be in the upper digital tier that would make somebody who's really enthusiastic go ahead and pay that extra amount and pay $110 a month to get an extra digital tier, and you can just get it for $5 a month straight.
Yeah, good stuff. Thank you for sending that in. We got Jeannie says, first of all, thanks for making what could be an extremely dry, boring news entertaining as well as informative. Secondly, I finally listened to this week's show. I feel the need to be pedantic with Tom because, well, it's rare that I get to. Anyway, during the conversation about TiVo, Tom was listing some of the companies AT&T had purchased. Among them, Singular was mentioned. My friends, this is incorrect. You have it backwards. Singular bought AT&T, and because of how long AT&T has been in business, they kept the AT&T name and their logos for brand recognition. I'm of the opinion this explains some of the schizophrenic corporate cultures in their various divisions. Still love the show, and thank you for letting me inform Tom for once. Huzzah, Jeannie. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was a customer of AT&T Mobile. Now keep in mind, AT&T Mobile is a different business from AT&T proper, whatever. But I remember being really bummed that they went from Singular, which had universally a positive association with it, to AT&T, which pretty much only meant the miserable experience your grandparents grew up with. And don't get me started.
Well, actually, Jeannie, they bought AT&T Wireless. That's the AT&T Mobile that Brian's talking about, and it was technically a merger.
Oh, Snapdragon.
So.
Oh, you got
pedantic to you.
You got double pedantic.
Nikki Manson. Nikki writes in and says, "Hey guys, and possible guest." It's talking to you, Derek.
Hey.
What's up, possible guest?
Nikki says, here's my question. CBS All Access plus Showtime, $15 a month. Would you get it? He's positing this. Like, what if they packaged them together? Nikki says, I personally couldn't justify both HBO and Showtime, so HBO wins. CBS All Access seems to be overcharged compared to the market. By the way, CBS All Access is $6 a month. Yet, if combined with Showtime for a decent price, Nikki says, I would do it. So it sounds like for $15 a month, if you bundle Showtime and CBS All Access, he would do it. I don't think CBS will do it that way, though.
Yeah,
you guys?
I agree with you. Here's the problem: is that you could be a Coke person or a Pepsi person because you're having your cola needs served by one team or the other, and people get passionate on one side or the other. That's not how we feel about our entertainment. We feel entitled to, I like action stuff, and this is one of the best action shows, so I don't care if it's a Coke brand or a Pepsi brand. I deserve it. This would work great if people became team players who are like, I don't watch HBO programming. I'm a Showtime kind of guy. Like, nobody says that. We don't talk that way about our entertainment. Although we are that way about our directors. Like, I would never watch a Mark Wahlberg movie. I'm a George Clooney kind of guy.
Well, I think people only they would subscribe to Showtime and HBO together. I don't think that's Nikki's main point. I think what he's saying is, I don't have $30 to spend on HBO and Showtime, but I might make justification to spend $30 if I did HBO, Showtime, and CBS All Access.
Yeah, I don't know. Speaking of which, the HBO thing, we could talk about this more in the spoiler in time, but I think I'm done. I think I'm going to subscribe to HBO now just to see if I get better service than I am on Friendly's HBO Go service, because
you will. I've been using HBO Now exclusively since it launched, and I have forgotten that I'm using it. Great. Which is exactly what they want. Like, great. I don't think about it. And I haven't had any of the weird bugs that I used to have with HBO Go, knock on wood, yet. So I think it's an improvement by far.
That's amazing. That's a brilliant strategy. If they can wait, hold on. The idea, offer superior service for something you charge for than what people are using for free. Insane.
Is it yours? Your
Yeah,
turn.
yeah. Mark Davies says, I think syndication is the key to the renewal of the Mindy Project and the politics of studio versus broadcaster. Since Fox was the broadcast rather than the studio behind the show, they could not care about the syndication of the show, while NBC, being the studio who gains syndication fees, cares about the show. Currently, the Mindy Project has only 67 shows, which is too few for syndication, but a 26 season order will boost that to 93 episodes, which is easily enough for syndication. So basically it's worth it for NBC to sell the show at a low cost per episode to Hulu, since they can then sell the show for syndication. Derek, you probably know more about this than I do, but I thought the magic number was 100 episodes for syndication. And also, who the hell cares about syndication nowadays? Do you think this is all some kind of like cabal, secret Illuminati trick to get past syndication numbers?
I don't know if it's really the whole syndication thing. I mean, that's kind of like the lowest end of TV advertising that you're looking at. So I don't think there's that much stress. I actually think it's a good test, honestly, for the studios with the Mini Project, because I kind of caught wind of this kind of before the official announcement on this. But I think it's actually probably a way for them to see how a show carries over from broadcast, still having that momentum. Can it translate over to digital? I think if anything, I think they're willing to test this out with kind of a big brand. So I'm actually really, really excited to see how this carries over, I guess, to in terms of how people watch it.
Yeah. I mean, when I saw that 26 number, I immediately thought in terms of 2001, oh, well, they want to build up enough seasons for syndication. So I think they would need more than 93, but they could say, oh, we're going to do 26 this, we're going to do 26 next, and then that will get you into a number that's great for syndication. But I agreed with both you guys. I don't think that's a big thing anymore. And I could be wrong. Maybe they're like, hey, we've built it in, and that's enough to get us over the budget, to what we need, because there still is some money in syndication. But it's like Derek said, it's such low end.
I just feel like syndication's going, that's no longer the place to go anymore, right? You have digital video, and if people are moving to digital platforms and they're watching as many episodes, and just having that many more episodes mean that many more opportunities to put ads when people are binging. I think that's really what they're thinking at this point, and not.
Keep in mind, in a pre-internet era, syndication was the most effective way to cash in on the long tail, to keep picking up those diminishing pennies over years and years and years. But nowadays, it doesn't seem like that's an effective strategy. Although props to Neshcom, who points out rightly that recently the 100 episode milestone for syndication has been lowered to 88 episodes, which case this would take you over it. But again, okay. I just don't know that there's enough pennies.
Well, J.C. Calhoun says, I don't think the magic number really exists anymore.
I agree with that, too.
That's the real thing. That we can argue all day about what's the right number for syndication. Syndication is a dying consideration.
Yep.
Matt says, do you see movie rentals ever coming back in fashion? I've been really frustrated to see that over the past few years, studios appear to have abandoned rentals in favor of only allowing viewers to purchase films for almost $20 for HD versions. My wife and I frequently have a hard time picking a movie because we never know whether the one we're clicking on will be a rental or a purchase. 1 out of 10 times, it's a rental. He says, I know Brian has argued that it beats the price of going to the movies even to buy one with a family, but I don't think that's a one-to-one comparison. Besides, there are several movies, like most of the Marvel films, that my wife doesn't want to catch, so then I'm stuck spending $20 for Thor: The Dark World, which I'll watch once and have sitting in my library. I think Matt is running into a selection bias, which is they don't make movies for rent at the same time they make them available for purchase. And I bet Matt's trying to watch movies before they're available for rent, because frankly, I haven't had any problem when I want to rent a movie finding one that's available for rental.
Yeah, no, first of all, his rage is 100% spot on, because I've been there, and it's like, it's available, but not for the one-time, one-off experience, which is all I want from it. So you end up buying it, and I do agree it's not a one-to-one comparison, but when you got a family of 5, the economics work. Where like, well, it's cheaper than going to the draft house. Let's just spend the $20 stupid dollars. However, absent of that, Tom is right, where it's like, well, if you would just wait, 2 more weeks, you could rent it. But again, man, ain't nobody got time for that.
I got time.
Well, okay, all right. Ain't nobody but Tom got time for that.
What the studios are doing is saying, hey, there's lots of people like Matt and Brian out there who won't want to wait to rent a movie, and they'll give us $20 for it because they want to watch it.
Well, and
right
they're
now.
right, and they're 100% right, and I won't keep track. I won't, because by the time it is available for rental in that weird window where it's like it'll be available before all of a sudden it's suddenly not available due to some exclusive somewhere else. During that time, something else shiny will come along, which is why I'm scared that I won't see Ex Machina. Because I want it to hit rental as soon as possible. In fact, I'm going to buy it the moment it comes out so I can keep my promise to watch it so we can talk about it on This and Weird Things.
Well, that's it for this episode of Cordkillers. Derek Chen, thank you so much for joining us, man. I always appreciate your insights on stuff.
No, thanks for having me on the show. I love, obviously, hearing you guys every time, so it's always an honor just to be able to kind of chime in and throw in my 2 cents.
Speaking of which, where can we see more of your stuff? Do you got a blog you want to promote?
I've been too busy to blog and podcast for a couple of years now. Just follow me on Twitter at DerekC82 or Instagram at DDog. I think those are pretty much my social networks of choice now.
Right on.
Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. We're live on diamondclub.tv, Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Also live on alphageekradio.com. We will see you next time.
Hey guys, Tom and Brian here. We just wanted to say thank you to all of our $5 patrons who keep us loud, live, and independent. You guys make Cordkillers the production that it is.
Your name appears in the video credits and appears in our hearts. And if you'd like to become one of them or see who they are, you can go to patreon.com/Cordkillers.
You'll need to do more than just go there, though. You'll have to sign up and, pledge an amount. But
Unless you just want to see who they are.
Well, I mean, you could gawk. That's a little creepy, isn't it?
If you want to be a gawker,
Let's go.
it's up to you.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.